So here we have it, the Mondo Toys Godzilla, the animated series, museum, collection, whatever, from Mondo Toys. I've been looking forward to this figure for about actually closer to 7 months. Um, this went up for pre-order in August, but it was revealed early summer-ish. So um, it was supposed to release during the summer of 2022, but they got it sooner than they were expecting, so they just sent them all out, and yeah, it's here at the end of January. So anyway, with the box, we get a nice front view of the figure, as well as a couple logos: Godzilla Museum, Godzilla the Animated Series 1970s. On the other side, Mondo. On the back, we get a couple of nice photos of the figure, giving it the figure stats and stuff, what it's made of, a little read-up, and a couple other poses, and yeah, I mean, it's a fairly standard box. On this side, we have a timeline, I guess, of Godzilla with 54, and then Attack Peter. I think this is another statue made by Mondo that's coming out, so I'm not getting it. I don't really care about it. I only care about this guy. Um, on the top, Godzilla Museum. On the bottom, not much else. So, I already took the figure out of the box, and let me tell you, this figure is a thing of beauty. Oh my goodness me. A little bit of backstory with me in this particular incarnation of Godzilla. When I was younger, I watched this show plenty of times. This is the first 8 episodes from the Firebird all the way to Horror of Forgotten Island. There is a volume, these are 2 volumes. There is a volume 3, but that one is damn near impossible to find. Zim, I have no idea how you have it. I want you to send it to me though. So yeah, I've always been pretty much tailor-made. I love this show so much. So to finally hear that a company was gonna make a figure based on this design, which is arguably one of the most obscure designs and shows in the whole series, it got me very excited. And when it went out for pre-order in August, I instantly got it. So if I had remembered to put this show in my what was it, ranking of the series for my 4-year anniversary, this would have come in at number 2 in between 54 and Final Wars. This show is just amazing to me. I love it. I'm a big fan of the original Scooby-Doo, so from the 60s, so again, I'm pretty much tailor-made to love this show. So starting off with detail, because it's a pretty easy topic to talk about, it's very simple and plain. They went for a 2D animation aesthetic, so it's a very smooth figure. There aren't any bumps or creases, or I mean there are some creases and folds, but there's no scaling and detailing and texturing the same way you would get with like an X Plus or a Monster Arts or anything along those lines. Zooming in, you can definitely begin to see. I mean, it's a smooth figure. There's no texturing. It's you know, very basic and very animation inspired, which I can always appreciate. In terms of, I mean, there like shading and all that. Again, 2D aesthetic, very similar to what NECA did with their TMNT action figures. They decided to do like very sharp black lines, as you could see here on the chest, on the hands, here in the torso, on the knees, on the ankle. They did a harsh black line to give it that sort of animation outline aesthetic. In terms of I mean, dorsal plates, just a single row, very small. I think they could have been a bit larger, but I mean, this Godzilla aesthetically can change very dramatically, even not even episode to episode, just like shot from shot or scene to scene. In terms of paint, he's a bright apple green sort of color, which isn't very show accurate, or at least not completely. As you can see here, he in the cover here as well as in the show, he's a very dark olive green with almost like dark gray, sort of bright black dorsal plates. Here they kind of like upped the saturation almost, making this a very bright green with very dark dorsal plates. Not entirely animation accurate, but it doesn't really matter to me all that much. It makes it pop on the shelf a lot more, but having a green Godzilla would do that regardless. We have, like I mentioned earlier, very sharp, distinct black lines for the outlining of all of his features, like on his knees, chest. Went through that already. In the mouth, it's pretty much just all black with a sort of bubblegum pink, and then the teeth, eyes, claws, as well as toenails are all very dull white. Not just pure white, but very not muted, just very not a solid white. So there is no articulation for this guy because it's a statue, but out of the box, you do have to assemble it. It comes in two parts: the tail and the body, with two magnets in each, or a magnet in each, and then a like outline for a plug. Base, or like the magnet in the body, wasn't properly glued in, and so when I put the tail on, disconnected from the body and stuck to the tail. So I just put some super glue on there and let it cure overnight. Held it down for 5 minutes at first just to get a bond going, but let it cure overnight, and then had to heat up the base of the tail because it was very tight, and then put it on, and I was good to go. When it comes to accessories, aside from the tail, which I don't really count as an accessory just because it's a required bit for the figure, he does come with this base with Godzilla. Oh, there goes my phone. It has Godzilla engraved or etched into the base. It's this octagonal prism kind of thing. Godzilla Museum on the back, a couple logos, as well as a magnetic plaque that says Godzilla the series, or Godzilla the animated series 1970s. And it only magnetizes to the front right here, so you can't put it on the side, otherwise it'll just fall off. So it does stick on the front. It's not the strongest magnet, but it doesn't really have to be, since this is pretty much just going to remain exclusively on the ground. And as a stand goes, all you got to do is plop the figure right on top, and you're good to go. One sort of negative or downside, I guess you could say, and this is kind of with the whole thing, is that with the base and the figure itself, is that it is a very light figure. There isn't much weight to it. It's very similar or comparable to X Plus, where it's pretty much just like a hollow vinyl figure, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just, I was hoping it would be a bit heavier. This is pretty much, in terms of execution, very similar to an X Plus, which isn't bad, like I said. It's just, I was kind of hoping that there'd be a bit more heft to the figure. I was hoping it'd be more of a polystone weight to give it an extra like heft. So the base doesn't weigh very much. Godzilla doesn't weigh very much, which isn't a negative. It's just I was hoping it'd be a bit heavier. One thing I do want to point out, I want to talk about the head sculpt. This is obviously the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Although I do think that they could have gone with a much meaner, more ferocious look for Godzilla. I'll put up a few screenshots right here. Godzilla, he could look very goofy, very silly, very stupid, but he also, there are plenty of points where he looks actually very good. He has a very defined face, very angular look. And this looks a bit on the gummy side. I think his snout is a bit too short. So I think they could have gone with a bit more of an aggressive look, one that's a bit more ferocious. This isn't bad by any means. It's just kind of a personal hope, or like a personal thing I wish they had done. But again, this isn't bad. This looks very good. I just think they could have done a bit better with the face sculpt. So as the box said, he was 7.5 inches without the base and 8.25 with the base. Here he is next to the birth version Monster Arts Godzilla, as well as the Figuarts Ultraman G. Here he is next to the Storm Collectibles Ermac, as well as my latest figure acquisition, the SH Monster Arts, like Great Battle version, whatever, 2004 Gigan. Now I had to zoom out quite a bit. And then comparing him to one of my X Pluses, the X Plus 30cm 84, as well as the old, very old Imperial Godzilla figure. Just kind of comparing classic American Godzillas, as well as just like I mentioned earlier, this is kind of like a very like half-scale X Plus. If X Plus were to do a Hanna-Barbera Godzilla instant buy, I'd go Rick. If they had, I don't know what they would do for like a light up. It might be like an orange mouth to simulate the fire, or like a light up. They could do like a Calico Godzuki little display thing. That'd be cool. But yeah, instant buy if they did this as an X Plus figure. So here's just a little display I made using a couple Tamashii effects, a couple buildings I made, as well as the like fire flame effect from the Revoltech Gamera 1967 figure from eons ago. So it works perfectly with this guy since his atomic breath is, well, a literal fire breath. So overall, I mean, I am in love with this statue, mostly because of my connection to the show, which is why I'm able to justify buying it. I guess that's another kind of negative. This isn't a very cheap figure, and I really would not recommend getting it unless you have any type of connection to the original show, which I do. So that makes it all the more worth it for me. It's just, from a lot of people I can see not being able to justify that price as a casual or even just someone who doesn't even know about this show. So I definitely think this is going to be one of my favorite figures of the year. I can already tell. I'm not planning on getting very many this year, but this one was definitely on the list. I had to get it, and I'm glad I did, and I'm glad Mondo got it in like 6 months early or whatever it was. So hope you enjoyed the review. Might have missed a few things I wanted to say, but that's fine, whatever. I'll put little notes in. I think this guy looks great, he feels great, not as heavy as I'd like it to be. The head sculpt could have been a bit more aggressive, a bit more defined, but I mean, overall, this is just a fantastic piece. So glad to finally have a Hanna-Barbera Godzilla on the shelf. I do kind of, if NECA still had the license, this would be the perfect design for them to do, because I think they would have knocked this Godzilla out of the park if they had this, if they still had the licensing and still make the figures. So yeah, thanks for checking out this review. It was a bit quick, but I don't really do these reviews very much. So yeah, I guess I'll see you later with whatever it is I have to offer. Daikaiju Legends reference from a million years ago.
That's crispy.